Good evening and welcome. Representative Mitchell, thank you for being here with us tonight. To Dr. Carter, I have been instructed to say nice things about the university while I was up here. And I always follow instructions I get from Dr. Carter, so I will do so. But it goes without saying that Fred Carter is a great champion of this university, a great friend of mine personally, and I submit a great friend of the Caucus. And so thank you for hosting this tonight, Dr. Carter. Ladies and gentlemen, we are really honored to have this group here with us today. A group has been in the trenches and dealing on a day-to-day basis with the very difficult issues that confront our communities. You know, 2012 has represented a real paradigm shift in the history of politics and really race in this country. Folks, the president won while losing a majority of white votes in this country. I mean, that's a hard statement to accept and understand, but it's a true statement by some 22 points. And he did that because the Republicans ceded to him every other Democrat. I mean, you think about it. He won women by 55%, blacks by 93%, folks under 30 by 60%, folks under 45 by 52%, Asians by 73%, and perhaps most importantly, Hispanics by some 71%. And they did that at a time when this country is changing in a dramatic way demographically. Hispanics make up double the population that they did 30 years ago in this country. And 30 years ago in this state, they made up less than 0.8% of the population of this state, and they now make up about 5%. So this growth has suggested to the census that in the next 30 years, that whites will be a minority in this country. It's an amazing thing to consider as we talk about the issues affecting the caucus tonight. And Republicans lost those minorities, folks. It must be said, because of the politics and the rhetoric of division that they practice. Now, some of these folks up here today might not go so far as to say it, but I'll say it. They not only alienated, but they directly and intentionally attacked all these groups on every issue that's important to them, including the folks we have with us here tonight. They've been unable to moderate themselves because the gerrymandering they undertook in order to obtain majorities in the state legislatures and the Congress, and they produced extremists concerned only about primary opposition, extremists who've taken control of the party. And they've practiced the politics of race and division and eschewed any compromise or moderation along the way, and that is the situation that these folks here tonight are confronted with every day at the State House. This development has benefited us, though, folks. And examples can be found locally and elsewhere of, unfortunately, some black candidates practicing the same politics of division themselves. Frustration at times has caused them to engage in racially charged rhetoric. So let me allow a word of caution. Extremism threatens the Republicans. It threatens their policies. It threatens their politics because their unwavering commitment to politics of race and politics of division. And they'll be swamped by the demographic changes that are happening and that are to come. But unless we, the Democratic Party, avoid those politics of division ourselves, we might run the risk of suffering the same fate that they're doing. And that's why I'm proud to have with us tonight these folks who have represented for so long the idea of compromise and the idea of practical solutions as opposed to empty rhetoric. We're proud to have you with us here tonight. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we would like for the caucus members to stand and introduce themselves. We have some members of the Senate who are still in committee meetings, and many of our House members. We have an important judicial race that's tomorrow, and we have some of those that are back in Columbia working to make sure that we hold that race together. But at this time, I would like to start with Representative Robert Williams, if we could introduce ourselves.
Okay.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Robert Williams. I represent District 62 which cover Darlington and Florence County. We are so happy to be here tonight with you and to share some information with you. Please, at any point, ask these guys questions. These guys know the answers. So please, at any moment, please make yourself available to them whenever you can and ask questions. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Senator Kevin Johnson, and I represent Senate District 36, which covers all of Clarendon County and portions of Florence, Darlington, and Sumter County. And I'm going to be real quick, Mr. Chairman. I'll be remiss if I didn't introduce my wife, who's in the audience, along with her classmate, who's a very good supporter. And if everybody from Marion would just raise your hand, Clarendon County, my pastor back there, and a lot of churchmen, a lot of campaign committee people, and I see a lot of folks from Atlanta and Timmonsville, and we just have to be here with you tonight. We hope that this session will be very informative to you because that's our purpose. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Senator Carl Allen from District 7, which is Greenville County. And it seems like I need to be hanging with the senator here with the people so we can eat good tonight. But I'm very pleased to be here to share with you this evening.
Good evening. My name is Ronnie Sabb. I'm from District 101. I serve in the House of Representatives. That district is made up of Williamsburg and Clarendon counties, and we look forward to interacting with you all this evening.
Thank you. How's everyone doing? Fine. Great. I'm David Mack III. I'm out of Charleston County and a little bit of Dorchester County, Charleston, Dorchester counties. It's great to be here with you. And anytime I go around the state and I see folks that are interested in the process, I get excited. I am honored to be here with you tonight. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Representative Kenneth Hodges. I represent District 121, Beaufort and Colleton County. However, I do feel at home in the PD. I've been served as a pastor of Shiloh and Bennettsville for 9 years and served on the Bennettsville City Council for 5 years. Good to be back with you.
Good evening. I'm Representative Joe Neal. I represent District 70, Richland, and Sumter counties. It's a pleasure to be back in Florence County with you this evening. If there ever was a time when we need to be talking to one another, this is the time.
Good evening. I'm Representative David Weeks. I'm from Sumter, House District number 51. I serve on the House Judiciary and House Ethics Committee. And like everybody else, everybody's got a PD connection somewhere. And prior to going into the House, I served as the municipal court judge for the town of Timmonsville, South Carolina. So I hope I didn't put none of y'all in jail.
Good evening, everyone. First, giving honor and glory to God. I'm just so happy to be here. I'm Leola Robinson Simpson. I represent District 25 in Greenville, South Carolina. And I want you to know that although I am the only female woman member of the House here tonight, there are several others who are hard at work back at the Capitol on some very important issues. And just feel free to ask me any question that these gentlemen can
Good evening. I am Robert Brown. I represent District 116. That's Charleston and Colleton County in the Low Country. It's a beautiful rural district. We love the birds, the bees, and the trees, and I'm simply delighted to be here with you tonight.
Good evening, I'm Seth Whipper. I represent House District 113. That's all of parts of North Charleston, I should say, and parts of Somerville. Thank you so much. I serve on the Judiciary Committee.
Hello, my name is Bill Clyburn, and I represent District 82, which covers Aiken, Edgefield, and Saluda counties.
I'd like to say good evening to all of you. I represent Berkeley and a portion of Dorchester County. My district is District 102. I'm delighted to be with you this evening.
And your name?
Joe Jefferson.
Good evening, and my name is Terry Alexander. I represent this portions of Florence County, District 59, portions of Florence and Darlington County. Glad to have my colleagues here with us this evening, and we're so glad to see so many of you out here this evening as well. We look for an important dialogue coming from you all this evening, and welcome my colleagues here.
I'm Representative John King from York County, representing District 49.
I'm Representative Jerry Govan. I'm representing House District 95 in Orangeburg and the ranking member of the House Education Committee. And I do have family in the PD in Hartsville. So if you're familiar with Charles and Carolyn Govan, hopefully they claim me.
Good evening. Representative Joe McKeitron, District 77, Richmond County. Also, all my roots is in this area. My wife, of course, is alma mater. And of course, I see the Vice Chairman of County Council, Dr. Mumford back there. His wife and my wife are first cousins. And so we got a lot of family here. And so we look forward to the dialogue that I know the PD can bring. Thank you.
And once again, President Carter, we want to thank you for allowing us to come in to Francis Marion and begin this dialogue, an important one, with you tonight with the Legislative Black Caucus. And as I stated earlier, we're outnumbered there in the State House. And when you look at the House 29, the Obamacare on you in South Carolina, that's not the case. They chose not to sit down with, just like McLeod, and many of the physicians and doctors that are here in the state to look at how we can create our own free market approach. They didn't do that. They wanted the Supreme Court to rule it unconstitutional. They had many members going to Congress in the Tea Party to see if they could overthrow it. Well, none of that worked. And we did not have that measure to actually sit there and try to create our own exchange for this state. Even though we took the $1 million and ended up using $102,000 to go through this study, the General Assembly never received that study. We don't know what's in it till today. And they voted on something last week to state, we don't want it. Well, tonight what we want to do is bring to you as the Legislative Black Caucus, the Hospital Association, to basically show you the other side, show you the impact of what's going to happen here in Florence with one of your larger employers. If we don't take the Medicaid expansion and at least have that dialogue so the people can see for themselves, we're doing you a disservice. And many of the members here who you have sent, Senator Malloy, Kent Williams, and Kevin Johnson, Terry Alexander, and Robert Williams to the State House, we're doing you a disservice if we do not tell you what is really going on with healthcare in America. Now, I say that, and you have another gem here in this area, Darla Moore. The School of Business put an economic impact study together. Well, when you look at it, I know it's going to be on the video, but out of $11 billion in the next 4 years that can come into the state, 44,000 jobs, they're not telling you that. Director Keck is running all over this state, lying about the Affordable Care Act and what could be beneficial to you as providing health care in this state. So at this time, I would like for Ms. Rosalind Goodwin to come up so that we can start this dialogue so that you can see the facts and we can hear from you as to how we can go back and fight. Because the other, silver lining here is we had the same problem a couple of years ago with the stimulus. And your senator, Senator Leatherman, who, if it were not for him, when we were $1.2 billion in the hole, and everyone in this state stated that we did not need to take the stimulus. Well, guess what? Your senator was able to put that back into the budget, which we got our $700 million for the state. The same thing can happen with this Medicaid expansion, which is why we need you. We need to bring you the information so that you can call him. We need you to make the calls to Columbia, to the Florence delegation. And as we go throughout the state, we're going to ask others to do the exact same thing. Because you saw during this last presidential general election, it's the foot soldiers that made the difference. If we equip you, you can do the work. We can make the change. We may be outnumbered, but they can't outwork.